Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, they're never hungover. You got to call them right now. You need some IT help. You're wondering why something's not working with your network. You call them. They're there. It's not an AI chatbot. And more importantly, they're not hungover. Joe, it's Wednesday. And I thought you would still be struggling with hangovers. I was wrong. So salute to you. What I did not realize was that North Carolina would still be dealing with a hangover on Tuesday night, going to Miami, never leading in this game and coming out with, I would say, a fairly embarrassing loss on the road after a very, very big win over Duke on Saturday.
Well, I think Miami's in that bucket with NC State and Louisville and SMU and Virginia. Who am I missing here?
Well,
Clemson, right? They're tournament teams.
You made a face when I said embarrassing. Yeah. Here's why I say it's embarrassing.
Okay.
Miami's ACC wins so far this year have been against teams under 500 in the conference. Their wins are against, and I'm not making this up, in order, the last place teams in the ACC right now. Pitt, Wake, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, Cuse, Stanford, and BC, who they beat barely over the weekend. 2 of their 3 conference losses, because they're 8-3 now? 9-3? 2 of their 3 losses in conference have been to Florida State and Cal. Again, teams under 500. We're going to throw the Clemson loss out because we understand Clemson's good. I know what you're saying in that metrics-wise, they do hang in there, and I do recognize that the ACC is better, but understand that Miami's first actual big win of the season in ACC play was at the expense of North Carolina last night.
Desperate team, capable team on the road in a situation. I find Hubert Davis's response to "was your team hungover" to be, well, comical, because, well, here's the deal. You want to play the clip first?
Let's play the clip. So Andrew Jones at Tar Heel 24/7 got the press conference going. This audio is from RL Bynum, Tar Heel Tribune on Twitter. Just want to give credit. RL, he travels. AJ's there too. AJ got the questions going. And speaking of RL, I think he had a follow-up question about Caleb Wilson, which I also found interesting. But here is Hubert's response to the hangover question.
Respectfully, disagree with the hangover from yesterday. I don't believe in that. That wasn't. But you are right. The energy effort, loose balls up in the air on the ground. Miami was getting them, and so rebounding, something that we've talked about every day, and talk specifically over the last 5 games heading into this game, that we've got to be better rebounding the basketball. And so we got to rebound it, I think, by 6. We talked about taking care of the basketball, and not just turnovers, but also shot selection. I count that as turnovers. And I think, just a small discipline and detailed plays. I think that's what you're talking about, out of sorts. That wasn't there consistently today.
So that was Hubert responding to Andrew Jones. I'll play the other clip about Caleb Wilson here in a second.
So when I was a kid, I didn't realize that people didn't write their own songs. I just figured every artist wrote their own songs, Joe. Madonna singing the song, she wrote it. Michael Jackson singing the song, he wrote it, right?
Sure.
I think maybe it's because of the Beatles and like a Paul Simon and maybe like Billy Joel, kind of
a lot of your
Bruce Springsteen kind of trained me to think,
a lot of your favorite artists do have people who help them write songs, or do they just straight up have other songs from people like, for instance, Sinead O'Connor. She did not write Nothing Compares to You. That was a Prince song that she made her own.
Yeah.
But that's a Prince song. Aretha Franklin, right? Respect. That's an Otis Redding song. She made it hers. So anyway, I see what you're saying.
So I did not realize, we could argue that Michael Jackson's best song is Human Nature. We could argue it.
Okay.
Obviously not his biggest song, but we could argue. I'm like,
sure.
He sang the hell out of that song.
He did.
It was a really good song.
I'm with you on that.
Okay. Yeah. I did not realize that Steve Porcaro from Toto is the one who kind of came up with the hook and wrote the refrain and some of the other stuff until I saw Toto in concert.
Yeah.
And he started playing it and telling the story.
Did you watch the Yacht Rock doc on HBO? I highly recommend
I
you
need
do,
to.
because the whole origin story of Toto is pretty fascinating as session guys. But anyway, yeah.
So apparently Steve's 5-year-old daughter fell off a slide and some boy came up and punched her or pushed her. And the dad was struggling to explain to his 5-year-old daughter, well, why did this boy come up and do this to me?
Okay.
And he was like, man, like, how do you explain? Well, he was like, well, it's probably because he got like a crush on you and he likes you.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
ultimately, he came up with the lyric, why? Tell him that it's human nature. So it's human nature to have a letdown after such a euphoric experience.
Sure.
You will never, ever in my life knock me off of that point.
Okay.
And I present to you, and if you're a North Carolina fan, now would be a good time for you to leave this podcast, because the one thing you hate more that I do more than anything else is compare you to NC State. But I've got really, really bad news for you. Because between 1998 and 2015, NC State only won 12 regular season games against either Carolina or Duke. That's kind of sad if you think about it, but
it's incredible.
From
sad.
1998,
I don't know where you're going with this, because this sounds more of an indictment on NC State than anything else. But go ahead.
From
Keep
1998 through 2015, they won 12 regular season games against either Carolina or Duke.
Not a good hit rate.
Their record after winning one of those regular season games was 2-10.
Yeah.
One of the wins was over Temple, because they finally got smart and said, you know what we should do? We really don't need to go to Clemson or Maryland, who are responsible for about 7 of those losses.
Yes.
Okay?
Maryland was a bane.
Gary Williams lived to piss in NC State's cereal after they either beat Duke or Carolina. 2-10. One of the wins was over Temple. The other win was against a bad Carolina team, the Matt Doherty team, because they beat Carolina and Duke in succession in 03. So every time NC State would beat one of the big boys, the Blue Bloods, invariably the next game they would go on the road and they would play a good team with a good coach in Gary Williams in Maryland, or they would go to Clemson and lose to Clemson. This brings us to Hubert Davis, and I know this is going to crystallize a point actually to me about why Carolina fans are so can be infuriated by Hubert Davis.
That was last night for sure.
Because what you have there is the crystallization of all of their problems with Hubert Davis. You have this tremendous high, and then it's the win over Duke, the last second shot, the legacy moment for Seth Trimble, followed 2 days later by this loss to a Miami team. In most other years, quite frankly, maybe you struggle in the first half because they're sitting at home. They're a capable team, but ultimately you find a way to win the basketball game. And this is now Hubert Davis has 5 wins over Duke, only 2 in the regular season, with a game that has been where they've had the ability to play a game after. Yeah. They're 0-2 in those games. Yeah, because the good news is you got a long way to go to catch NC State at 2-10.
Yeah.
But 0-2 is not a great start. And if you look at all 5 of them, actually, he's 2-3. And obviously one of them is the loss to Kansas in the national championship.
I was going to ask you,
count for a few more.
I was going to ask you if the Kansas game in the championship after they beat Duke in the 2022 Final Four counted as a hangover, but it wasn't a situation like Miami. Like they actually led in that game. That was a competitive game.
They were in control, and Kansas is obviously really good.
Really good team.
I just think it's human nature. I think that's just what it is.
Okay. So it was interesting because I was thinking about this. What is the hangover? Because people kept calling about hangovers, right? They kept calling about hangovers. We'll get to some OG Sports phone calls. And I was like, all right, let me go back and look, right? Like you did. And yeah, there's the Hubert of it. And then there's also like the totality of it. And the one thing that actually my takeaway from going back through KenPom and looking at the first, this is the key point here, the first matchup.
Yeah. I
don't count the second one at the end of the season because you have time between that game and the start of the ACC tournament to reset. You know what it is. It's the tournament. It's March. Here we go. Right. So I look at the first meeting as the base. They don't beat Duke a lot in the first meeting. So I was like, oh, I'm sure I'm going to get more data on this. Actually, no. So they've got wins over Duke in the first game of the regular season in 24, even year Hubert.
Yep.
21, 19, 18, 14, and then 09. And I stopped there because I was like, okay, at this point, we're getting into ancient history, if you will, which is a recurring theme of today's show when we talk to Walker Mehl of Locked On Hornets at WFNC.
09, that's yesterday compared to the release of PS2.
PlayStation 2, right? So in 2024, they beat Duke at home 93-84. They followed that up with the Clemson loss, 80-76.
Obviously a good team, but it was at home.
Good team. It was at home. And if you remember that game, Clemson got out quick in that game. So you saw a similar situation here in Miami. In 21, they beat Duke at Duke. They followed that up with a 60-48 loss to Virginia. In 19, 88-72 win at Duke. They beat FSU 77-59. In 18, an 82-78 win at home. They followed it up with a win over State, 96-89, I believe, in 18. What was that game? Why is that game ringing a bell?
That was when Luke May ended Omer Yurtseven's life.
Yeah, I was like, why is 18 sticking out? And I remember back when we used to have seats on the floor watching Luke May break Omer Yurtseven's ankles, which was embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassing.
Just Luke May not miss a shot for
just unfreaking real,
38 minutes.
Unreal, man. 14 at home, 74-65. That was a 105-72 win over Wake Forest. And in 09, when they were a machine, on their way to a national championship, a 101-87 win at Duke, although they struggled in that next game, 69-65 over Miami. Here's why I say it is an embarrassing loss for North Carolina. And I agree with you on the crystallization of why UNC fans, and kind of proving my point in an awkward way about how everything about this season for North Carolina has a haze of Hubert Davis over it. And much like I said about NC State, after Monday night's embarrassing loss to Louisville, you were supposed to put those defensive lapses behind you. It's not that you lost at Louisville. It's that, what'd you call it? A lack of defensive intensity throughout the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
We saw that again last night for North Carolina, and you were supposed to have put that behind you on the West Coast road trip when you lost to Cal and Stanford. And defensive intensity was the reason why you lost it. And then when you come back and you beat Duke, it was supposed to launch you. The idea was, all right, we've put all this stuff to rest. We've settled on our roles. We know what it takes to win basketball games. And as much as I understand that people want to bang on Hubert Davis, are you telling me that Hubert Davis was not making this a point of emphasis and why he sounded like the way he sounded after AJ's question regarding hangovers? No, because if you're about that life, you bounce back and you carry it the rest of the season. And instead, they reverted back to the ugly parts of the earlier season that you're supposed to be behind. And I saw some people questioning, well, Hubert's got to do this and Hubert's got to do that. Guys, he tried to go zone at some point in the second half. I don't have it in front of me. I just remember when it happened, but it was sometime in the second half. He goes to zone and Miami immediately blows past the zone for an easy layup. At some point, it's on the players. You know what it takes, right?
Yeah.
And
I think their freshman finally had one of those freshman games. Dixon in particular, and then Caleb Wilson's mortal. But
also said Tremble, because Hubert was also being very diligent about pulling guys off the court there late to make some points. You mentioned Caleb Wilson, and I found this response from Hubert. I'm going to pull the YouTube back up. I believe this was.
He leaves the court, gets it wrapped up, and you're like, "Oh, that does not look great." And it's his offhand, but still.
So at that point, I'm actually listening to the game in the car. I'm listening because I had to take Jacob to Invisalign yesterday. So I watched the first half, and then I get to the rink, and the game's not on. So I darted over the car, and I'm listening to Jones when this is happening, right, with the rap, and or was in the first half. Anyway, I'm losing my track of time. It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm listening to Jones Angel and Tyler Zeller describe what's happening with Caleb Wilson, and he's been in the back getting worked on. I guess it happened after the dunk, and then he came and Jones kept describing it heavily wrapped. Oh goodness, because you know how Carolina fans are thinking. They're like, shit, this again? Kendall Marshall in the wrists? Like, oh man, what is happening right now, right? So R.L. Bynum asks him, hey, what's up with Caleb Wilson and the rap? And I found Hubert's response kind of interesting.
What's Caleb's situation with his left hand?
There is no situation.
I mean, he's heavily wrapped. I mean, did that impair his ability when he came back?
Not to my knowledge.
if you're watching on YouTube, you can see Hubert shoulder shrug after RL goes, yeah, but it was heavily wrapped. And he just goes, yeah, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And this is another thing that has popped up. Remember, after the West Coast road trip, people were asking like, hey, you know, what's up with Caleb Wilson and his lack of scoring? He's doubled. What do you want? And it's almost like he's got to fight through that, some freshman stuff. And I feel like this was another example of, well, yeah, he's got to fight through that. I don't care. You got to fight through that. So I could see why Hubert was understandably pissed the fuck off last night on multiple levels.
I have no doubt he spent all day Sunday and all day Monday saying, hey, guys, you know, this is going to be a tough game. This is a desperate team. We're going to have to go down there and match not only their intensity, but the level that we showed in the second half to beat Duke. But centralized to all of our points here, nothing happens in the triangle in a vacuum. And that's really what's burning Carolina fans with this consistency, because you have their own standard, right? Which I've had to learn. You had Dean Smith for 13 years from 1981 to 1993. He made the Sweet 16 every single year, right? Including 2 national titles in that span.
Right.
So it's like, hey, what is your standard? Well, we expect when the field expanded to be one of the last 16 teams every single year, because we were. And then the other part of this where we are, which still resonates today, for the first 37 years of the Atlantic Coast Conference, North Carolina finished in the top 3.
Yeah.
Last night's loss left them in 7th place. And you can sit there and tell me it doesn't matter. I agree with you. As a State fan, I agree. Well, what do you finish in the ACC? Who cares? Right? But it matters to Carolina that they're in 7th place and they're in this lump and clump with Virginia and Louisville and State and Clemson and Miami and SMU. They don't want to be there because you know who's not in that clump? Duke.
Yep.
And nothing happens in the triangle in a vacuum, because just as I predicted, Duke went to Pitt yesterday and ho-hum, they won the game. Yes, it was a 6-point or 7-point game in the first half, but there was never a point where you seriously thought Duke wasn't going to win the basketball game.
Yeah.
And to your point about Duke and John Shire and getting his freshmen to lead and not have letdowns. Yeah, we've seen some other players have games that aren't great. Isaiah Evans in Chapel Hill on Saturday.
Yeah.
He bounced back.
That was back in the second half.
And also Cam Boozer had another one of those games where you're like, man, this guy's like a machine.
Along with the added context of no Pat Gungbo, who's out with a hand injury, which John he said it's something that happened in the game in the loss to Carolina on Saturday. He was not available against Pitt. And there was
never a threat of them losing the game. They just they're like a metronome. They just keep winning the games.
I as I jotted it down for Duke, real quick on Duke before we take some OG Sports phone calls. Because really, what is there to say about the Duke game other than it was another meat and potatoes win in the ACC? Yes, it was close for a while there. Pitt's issues this year is that they've got talent, and I know that Jeff Capel has been a broken record about this. They just can't freaking finish. He once again talked about how they just cannot finish, and that was the difference in the game. It's actually something that Shire has talked a lot about this season, and what he's been happy about is the closing out of halves and beginning of the second half. I think they went on a 7-0 run there before the end of the half to separate a little bit with Pitt. And then sure enough, Capel's words rang true. They weren't able to finish. I think they missed a free throw, and then they missed a wide open 3, and Duke turned that into points. And then they never really looked back. And all the little signifiers of what you expect out of a Duke win were there, even without Pat Gungbo. They did well on the rebounding margins. They rebounded as a team more than anything else. You also saw some bounce back games, a bounce back game for Isaiah Evans and for Caleb Foster to a certain extent. Well. Him and Dame actually did pretty well, all things considered, rebounding. So very meat and potatoes win for Duke going forward. And I guess you'll keep an eye on the Pat Gungbo thing, and hopefully he's healthy, because we do know if Duke is going to be a true national title contender, they need to have perfect conditions. This is my thing for Duke.
They need 98 Magic.
Are they last year's team? No. Are they good enough to make a nice run in the NCAA tournament? Yes. And then you need the magic. You need the magic. Meat and potatoes is going to get you through the ACC.
Hey.
Okay?
I'm not knocking. I'm just laughing at how it's going to happen.
Meat and potatoes might get you the ACC championship this year. All right? But I don't know how far meat and potatoes is going to get you in the NCAA tournament, but there's still plenty of basketball to be played. Let's go to the sports vote.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to a 252.
Oh, I knew it was coming. Gville Tar Heel here. Yesterday, when Ovi started saying, the Hubert haters can start to calm down, I knew it was coming. I knew what tonight was going to be. They talk about it being a trap game. Well, you got 3 days to let the team know it's a trap game. So your job as a coach is to get them ready. But you know what? Just like Duke UNC, Hubert Davis always delivers. When it comes to slow starts in the game, getting behind early, slow to make adjustments, Hubert Davis always delivers. When it comes to getting out-rebounded and out-hustled, points in the paint, Hubert Davis always delivers. I didn't even want to call in to talk shit about the Duke UNC game. NC State tempted me. Goddamn, that was awesome. You got to talk about the sheets and the couch. Game like that, they need to go up to Charlotte and borrow the fucking Cucknallis chair. I don't even think you deserve to sleep on the couch for that one. You need to just go sit on your special little chair in the corner and replay that game and make everybody watch. But you don't even enjoy it, because I knew. And it was early in Austin. Miami was on the boards. We looked like we didn't even want to be there. I just wish I could see these pregame speeches that Hubert Davis gives. They got to be the worst thing ever said. But you got to get back to it. Got to get ready. Win some more games. Get another high mountain, because after the high mountain, Hubert Davis is going to come with a low valley, because he always delivers.
All right, Matt. Cucknallis chair gets you into the year in review for the calls. So you got me on that one.
There are times where people are like, oh, it'll come up every so often. It's like, do you find not being on radio freeing? And I would say that this basketball season, it's truly come home to roost that some of the things that we do on this podcast, there's no way in hell we'd ever be able to get away with on radio.
They're just preposterous.
Right down to the, Will Wade sheets and Cucknallis chairs and whatnot. For instance, we got a text from a 919. Tar Heel fans back to fucking on the Fire Hubert bed tonight. That's an angry makeup sex.
The good news is Carolina and State play next Tuesday.
Yes.
The Tuesday coming up. That's the good news.
There's going to be, you remember the tight ends commercial? Did you see the tight ends commercial for the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay,
Stop asking me Super Bowl questions. I was like blacked out. Okay.
Clearly. So there's going to be a lot of tight butts on Tuesday night.
That's fair. I'm glad that they play on Tuesday.
Yes.
Because what's going to happen? Nothing happens in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Matt was smart not to call after the Louisville loss, because State's going to beat Miami on Saturday. You can write it down, mark it down right now, because after you lose by 41, you're going to get your team's best effort. And Miami, conversely, is now like, hey, quick storm, here we go. Again, Steve Piccaro, man. Why? Tell him that it's human nature.
From a 704. God dang, Tar Heels look like Giglio did not have the biggest hangover coming out of the weekend. Yeah, that's true. He was blacked out for the Super Bowl, but at least he was somewhat functional. So,
not on Monday.
Although I did get word, Roy Cooper had a fundraising event at the Rialto. What was it, last night? I think it was last night. And Hayes Permar texted you and me saying, "Yeah, I followed up with Roy, asked him how the podcast spot went, and he just goes, Giglio was all caps hung over." Hey man, we've all been there. Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there. And of course, at 828, Jay Lucas, Blue Devil for life. Avenge me. Let's go to a 704.
Hey guys, it's Paul. I mean, they were always going to lose that game. They always were. The way the Duke game ended, them celebrating on Franklin Street, they're always going to lose that game. But I'm more concerned with the two very big things that has become a real issue for Carolina. One, this team might be the worst transition Carolina team I've ever seen, in the fact that they never look up and they never try and pass. If somebody is on the break, they could be 4-on-1, and whoever has the ball is going right to the rim. They do not even look to try and get an easy bucket. That is not Carolina basketball in the slightest. So worst transition team as far as sharing the ball I've ever seen. And they might be the worst rebounding, like, just position-wise, like, getting in position to make a rebound and, like, knowing how to box out. They are the worst rebounding team I've ever seen. And that brings me to Caleb Wilson. It took until February, so hats off to him, but he looked like a freshman tonight. He made a lot of freshman mistakes. He forced a lot of stuff, and his final contribution to the game was just watching the ball and not boxing out the free throw shooter. And when he missed a free throw, he got it back, scored, and that pretty much, for me, that pretty much sealed the game. And, you know, credit to Hubert Davis there at the end. He sat him down after that play, and he didn't play the rest of the game. I think there was like 2.5 minutes left in the game, and Caleb Wilson didn't play the rest of the game after that. So a little accountability there for the freshman, but just very concerning. In a vacuum, losing to Miami at Watsco Center isn't that surprising. Every time Carolina goes down there, they struggle. But the overall trends that I'm noticing in this team are very concerning for March.
Yeah, I agree with Paul in that regard. That's why at the start of today's episode, I was like, nah, guys, if you're going to be this taking the next level and putting these things behind you, you cannot have regressions like that. And as a freshman, you should be at this point locked in, ready to go. Caleb Wilson, you've got the screens. I guess, was there no Jay Lucas slight in the past as he was keeping names? You know, like, was there anything like that that had happened?
Clearly not.
Caleb Wilson's clearly not going to come back. He's going to go to the pros, so he can't come back. And like, I remember when you put the crying Jordan on the screen behind the free throws, like Miami did, which was very, very inspired by them. Very inspired by them. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, but just like State's loss, I get the larger point
they
about
don't want to hear,
consistency.
but that's the thing. That's the problem, Joe. The last thing they want to hear.
It's not the end of their season,
dude. That's not the point. The last thing they want to hear is not just like the State loss. Do you see the error of your ways here?
I see it. I freely admit it. I understand the larger picture of consistency. I'm just saying.
Now, this is where I will be an asshole, though.
I just feel like we're going to get 8 teams in the tournament.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
But that's not the point. This is where I'm going to be an asshole. All right. I try not to be. I promise you. But I did think it was kind of funny that after the Duke win, a lot of the social media commentary were people going back after things were published to dunk.
Sure.
And remember, I had put together the let's compare UNC and NC State metric-wise and Vegas-wise to illustrate the point that these two teams are in the same tier. Okay. Not that Carolina won't beat State or vice versa, just like in the grand scheme of college basketball, they're kind of in the same tier right now. And after NC State got destroyed by Louisville on Monday night, and Duke and Carolina had beaten Duke,
yeah.
What do you think those comments looked like?
Oh, yeah, you two were idiots.
And you two idiots said we're the same.
You're just State fans.
That's why last night stings more so than anything else, because you just illustrated the point. Just like the State loss, ... You can't say that, or you can't hear that as a Carolina fan. It's just like, it's going to make you glitch.
And as by comparison, Duke bounces back, handles their business, moves it along.
Yes. Now, we're sitting here talking about hangovers. And shout out to James. Can you imagine what the hangover would have been like if they had to go from Carolina North all the way to Franklin Street?
Did they? Oh, that's awesome. Okay. He did it.
James put this on. He's like, all right, tell me you're going to go rush Franklin Street from Carolina North, MLK at Hillsborough Street. Can you imagine? Man, you're going to have tired legs that day.
Man.
Woo. You don't want that business. Trust me on that. We'll have more OG Sports phone calls in Hey Joe.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, Get it clean, clean with Inobana.
Speaking of brackets, we've got OG Light Bracket Night at Longleaf Swine Monday, March 16th. Very, very excited about this. $50. Well, it's $49 plus a $2 handling fee, so $51. Gets you a barbecue buffet from Longleaf Swine, dessert, and a pint of OG Light. So head on over to OG Light Bracket Night. Light is L-I-T-E. OGLightBracketNight.com. It'll take you to Dimitri's super special September creative website, and you can get your tickets there. Again, we will be getting going at, I think, 7 o'clock. You'll get fed. You'll get a pint of OG Light. They got a great bourbon selection. Come hang with us. We'll do a show. Mitch and Mia O'Brien are going to be there, talking some women's college basketball as well. We'll go through some brackets. We got some beanies. We got some leftovers from the pop-up shop we'll give away, and some other stuff too. Maybe something from the OG Hat Vault. You never know. You never know what you might find at OG Light Bracket Night. So again, go to that website, OGLightBracketNight.com, and get your tickets today. Big thanks to Mikey P as well. We got some new designs coming out. Speaking of Forever Grateful, a lot of Forever Grateful Hubert Davis. It's time to break out that shirt, man. It is about time to break out that shirt. So that'll be coming out soon, along with some other goodies as well. Big thanks to Hometown Realty. You can check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence, get a better idea of what this housing market is like. I see a lot of empty lots, no new construction going up. You might see some new construction that's been up and they've had a for sale sign for 6 months to a year. What does that mean? Is there a way you could take advantage of that if you're looking for a new house? That is why you contact our friends at Hometown Realty. So check them out online at myhtr.com. Let's say you got to finance that house, right? You ain't paying it with cash. I know that. You got to finance it. And you're a little worried about the interest rates. Might be keeping you from buying a house. Here's the thing. Contact our friends at Miller Lending. MillerLending.com, 919-447-3377. Miller Lending is going to walk you through this process about why the rates are currently where they're at, what the future might hold for said rates, and most importantly, why you should never pay closing costs for those interest rates. So let's say you refinance or you buy a new house, you're not exactly pleased with the rate and you're tempted to buy down the rate. Don't do that. Interest rates never stay the same. And on average, people will refinance for any number of reasons, lower rates, debt consolidation. They'll refinance about every 4 years. It takes you 8 years to break even on those closing costs. See where the math ain't mathing? So contact our guys at Miller Lending, 919-447-3377. And you can take that thing to close with our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. We will be at the Whitaker and Hamer home base, Shady's in Garner, for our OG birthday bash on May 2nd. Speaking of beer and OG Light, we might have that OG Lime. I know you're excited about that. I know we have to do the show. We got to do the show from the airport. I got to see.
It's not helping us on the table.
I know it's not.
Okay.
I know it's not. I got to see Wit. I just haven't had time. And I'm not going to have time this weekend because I'm going to Buffalo. So
you're going to the airport?
No, I'm flying Southwest this time. So I'm not going to Terminal 2.
Jeez.
Hey, if you take that thing to close with Miller Lending, you will get a gift basket from the Butcher's Market. Ask Gordon himself. It's not cheap, but it's yours if you take it to close. So go to thebutchersmarkets.com in the meantime. Valentine's Day. Hey, heads up, guys. Valentine's Day. Saturday. Hey, dumbasses. That box of chocolates from the gas station ain't going to get it done, okay? And as somebody who had to...
Wait a second.
Who was...
box of chocolates from the gas station?
Oh, dude, I got a story for you. I remember they're divorced now. Shocking.
Anecdotally
speaking, they're divorced now, so it's whatever.
For one.
But yeah, famously, he realized it was Valentine's Day, and he went to the gas station and he bought sugar-free chocolates.
Hey babe,
I just
you need
grabbed,
to lose a few pounds.
He just grabbed chocolates, and he bought sugar-free chocolates.
Just get a 40 at that point.
Woo!
I don't drink.
hey, rather than being a bronze medalist and going on national worldwide television to say, hey, I'm sorry I cheated on you. Will you take me back? Go to the Butcher's Market and go get a fine dinner. Did you not see that? Yeah. I forgot what sport it was. I want to say it was a Norwegian Olympian, won bronze, and then went full like, I'm sorry, I stepped out on you. Would you take me back? And I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, maybe if you'd won gold, she would consider it, but bronze? I don't know. But the only way you might win her heart back is with meat. So go to the butcher's market, cook up a nice meal. So again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com. And if that doesn't work,
Yeah.
if that doesn't work, chase it with Two Roosters. That always
That
works.
does work.
TwoRoosters.com. You might not get any that night because it might be gassy, but that's fine. It's Two Roosters. Get it. Win them over with chocolate and peanut butter and other goodies. TwoRoosters.com. Again, that's TwoRoosters.com. It's Lovers Month. All sorts of fantastic flavors. So I highly recommend you make that happen for Valentine's Day as well. Nothing says date night like, hey, go out to dinner, or I just cooked dinner. Let's go out. Let's go get some ice cream. TwoRoosters.com is the place to go. So go check them out. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Walker Mehl. He is from WFNZ and the Locked On Hornets podcast, which, folks, the Locked On Hornets podcast is popping right now. Hornets are the center of the NBA universe for win streaks and brawls. Walker, what's up?
I'm back already?
I know, it's a week later. I texted you last night like, damn it. Or did the Hornets do it again? Did they do some stuff that I'm like, oh, we can't avoid it. We have to talk about it.
You guys always use references to demonstrate how young I am. And then you use it by you say, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. Well, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to reverse. I'm going to Uno reverse you. I don't know if you guys are young enough for this. Okay.
Yeah.
But there is a moment in SpongeBob where Squidward, after denying his love of Krabby Patties for so long, actually really likes him.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob finds out and he says, you like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward? Joe's, you guys kind of like the Hornets, don't you? You kind of like them.
Yeah.
I think you do.
Yeah. See, the thing is, my brother and you are around the same age. So those Squidward references, those SpongeBob references do resonate with me.
You know ball a little bit. Yeah. You know the whole
I
kids
know a little
thing.
ball.
I
I know a certain era of Nickelodeon because of my brother. So
Okay.
I will maintain that.
Just embrace it like Squidward embraces the Krabby Patties. You actually like the Hornets. It's fine.
I would say I'll give them credit. They are providing the content, and that's all I ask. All I ask is they provide the content. I want Hugo the Hornet watching brawls from afar.
Yeah.
I want to be like, tag yourself in this image. I am Duncan Robinson at the Cat's Cradle. I am Duncan Robinson at Lenovo Center during the 9 Inch Nails show earlier this year or last year, where it's like, you know what? You kids have fun in the pit. I'm out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to play this video because I'm worried because the NBA will come after me. In terms
They really will, actually. Yes.
I'm not playing any
1000%.
video. I'm just
No. We're just showing that.
I'm not playing a single thing in the video.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were there.
Mhm.
The thing that really resonated for me was fights in the NBA tend to be performative. But then Isaiah Stewart came out and good old Beef Stew was serving. And that's when I went, oh, okay, here we go. Now this is getting real. So how'd that all unfold on Monday night?
Well, and I'll say this too. Yeah, everybody loves to accuse the NBA of being a league full of fake tough guys. And even the NBA players will tell you that nobody's trying to fight because nobody's trying to lose money. But all that changed when you had a mushing of the face. I did not know that there was a term for this. I did not know, right? I am glad. The reason I know there's a term all happened on a Twitter exchange between Roy Bellamy and Bomani Jones, where Roy quote tweeted the video and said to Bomani, said, oh, Jalen Duren mushed Musa.
Yeah.
It was on after that. So if you go and you watch the video, right, just to kind of recap all of it, Musa, Jalen Duren, they had been going at it really all game. It was a really physical basketball game. It's kind of modern day Bad Boys-ish, right? Those guys are physical as hell, man. They want to fight, as you could see. Hornets have a couple guys that are also ready for the smoke. And we joked about it coming into this contest, how the over-under on altercations between Musa, Beef Stew, and Jalen Duren. We didn't have Miles in here, but between those three, set it at 2.5, and I'm taking the over. And boy, that counted for like 35 at the very least, maybe even 40. So they had been battling back and forth in the paint. Hard foul by Musa. Jalen doesn't like it. They headbutt. Who starts it? Who knows? But there is a headbutting. And then, while their faces are borderline touching, Jalen Duren then does the mushing of Musa's face. There were two players in Hornets uniforms that knew just how disrespectful an act that was. It was Miles Bridges And it was the man that got mushed. And so there was no fake tough guy about any of it. They immediately wanted smoke and they wanted it now. And Moose was so angry for so long. He blacked out. He saw red. There was no reasoning with this man. And I think the coaching staff realized that the holdback of Musa on the first time, okay, their want to and holding Musa back was not 1% of Musa's want to go fight Jalen Duren. And so he's swinging. I mean, he's reacting with swings of the face, gets corralled, escapes the holdback, goes back after Jalen, falls, a little Jermaine O'Neal-esque. Malice, there were similarities here.
There was an element, although I want to say we've grown as a society in that one of my other favorite parts of the video clip is the dude in the expensive seats pointing out to the official, hey, you might want to go handle that over there, because he's trying to get people off the court. This one official trying to get people off the court. The guy's like holding a beer and he just kind of points like, hey, so these guys are off the court. Maybe you want to go over that way here. And then the ref just beelines it back into the center court to go break up some more fighting.
Yeah, a civilized crowd at the Spectrum Center. Raucous in the right sort of way, but civilized maybe more so than the Palace at Auburn Hills. So, yeah, Musa, like Jermaine O'Neal, he's falling as he's swinging, and who knows if any of these things connect. Who knows, right? Now it's maybe there's a whatever, right? Just all-time bad stuff happening out there on the NBA court. Miles then gets involved. He goes after Jalen Duren from really the opposite end of the court. He kind of circles around the group of people to still go after Jalen Duren. And then you mentioned it, Isaiah Stewart, the crock pot baby. He's ready to smack down on somebody because it's what he wants. That's
what he wants to do. I mean,
it's his music.
For those who don't know Isaiah Stewart, we don't talk a lot about the NBA in the podcast, but I obviously keep up with some of the antics that happen. And did he not tell Miles Turner last year at some point, go play with your Legos? Like, oh yeah, like, come on, like that's the kind of stuff that you got to like tip your cap and respect. Like that's good smack. That's good inventive smack. Go play with your Legos, man.
I want to hate him as I'm supposed to on this side of the brawl. All right. Hard line. I'm on this side. We rep the Hornets around here, baby, except I do kind of like what you stand for to a certain degree.
Yes.
And it's a different kind of want to for me with Beef Stew.
Yeah.
Like he does fight for the sport where Miles and Musa not going to get disrespected. Miles, whoever, they might want to fight because they want to fight, but there's some anger behind it. I think Beef Stew wants to do it for sport.
Yes.
He might fight with his buddies just because he wants to feel pain in his face. He wants to throw punches. That's a different type of cat, man. And so
you don't want to mess. And that's why I said things escalate, because for the most part, I know what you're saying about connecting, but it looked like most fights that I've seen where there's flailing around because you're just mad.
Yeah.
Where with Isaiah Stewart, it's like, oh, you want to get in the ring for real.
I just want to do this. This is what I was born to do. I'll play basketball. I'll play really hard. But also, if you guys just want to fight for the fun of it, like, hey, I'll invite my buddies and then we can just hit each other in the face for a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we watch the Carolina Hurricanes. You're talking about the face mush. In hockey, it's the face wash.
That's right.
But in hockey, there's even more play fighting because people will put up with a face wash, which I don't understand. But I guess that's the culture of hockey.
It's got to be the helmet thing, right? Like that's what is the level of disrespect present when there is no face covering, like there is in football, where they'll smack the helmets, and then in hockey where you have the face wash. But that's full palm to cheek action, and Musa wasn't having it.
I mean, I don't know about you. I don't want a sweaty ass glove in my face under the
absolutely not.
I don't want that. So, but occasionally you will see some legitimate fights in the end. You will see some legitimate fights in the NHL. I mean, heck, with the Carolina Hurricanes, you do not want Alexander Nikishin to square up on you. We've seen it. It's not good. So I kind of see that. That's why my respect level for Stewart goes up. So as of this recording, there's no punishment, right?
No, there's not. So just asking around.
9:41 in the morning on Wednesday, as of when we're having this conversation. And I have not seen anything about punishment.
Well, and I've pushed off the Locked On Hornets episode. I'm going to do it right after this hit, just because I've been waiting for the suspensions to come in. They haven't. By rule, they have to come in before the team's next game. So they did have a tiny bit amount of time to work with this not being a back-to-back. So we could expect it coming in anywhere from now to probably around 2 to 3, but the suspensions have to come in before the Hornets' next game. So we can expect that. The real thing to watch here, right? Because outside of the obvious question, Musa Diabate, Miles Bridges, how many games are they going to get? Because they're going to get multiple games. You can't recharge. You can't re-escalate the situation, right? So both of those guys are going to get multiple games. There is a hard line drawn in the sand. If you leave, well, maybe not as hard, but if you leave the general vicinity of the bench and you're not in the game while there's a brawl, then you get a minimum 1-game suspension. LaMelo Ball left the bench.
Mm-hmm.
LaMelo didn't do anything. In fact, he was just kind of frolicking amongst the people. It was kind of funny if you go focus only on LaMelo in this entire video, which there's about, 50 points of comedy in the video. But LaMelo is one of them, just frolicking, where the assistant coaches, they hold him back at first. I think he could probably get away with it if he just immediately went back to the bench. I don't think that he would get a suspension, except afterwards, after the recharge. Now he's going again, and then he's just kind of running back and forth. He's almost directing people where to go himself. He's also seeming a little like the maestro, where he's telling, hey, Musa, he's still really angry, guys. Do not let him go. Do not let him up. I'm going to go check on Miles real quick. Oh, God, here's beef stew. Just let me check on everything. So LaMelo's just in the action for apparently no reason. He might get a game suspension. Trey Mann leaves it a little bit, comes back. I hope the NBA recognizes Trey's like, oh, shit, I need to get back to the bench. I'm going to get fined rule. Like, he was cognizant of it. So anyways, Trey Mann, not as much. LaMelo, that there might be a 1-game suspension for him.
Before the fight, there was a 9-game winning streak, which hat tip to you. You came up with a graphic that their first 8-game winning streak since PlayStation 2 was released.
Yeah, that's right.
PlayStation 2. We're currently on 5.
We are currently on PlayStation 5.
Okay.
Yes.
2.
I love this.
We PlayStation 2. We're so far away from the PlayStation 2. It is worth a separate discussion in terms of seminal video game systems that have impacted an entire generation of people. The PlayStation 2 would be up there with Walker's generation, my brother's generation. That like the original Nintendo Entertainment System is for us. It was that impactful of a system back in the day.
It's funny, how people will say like, wait, 2015 was more than 10 years ago. Yeah. It's like it's like that, where it's like PS2, PS3 was actually more than 10 years ago. That was like 07, 08. And it's like, wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah, PS2 was at the turn of the millennium, like early 2000. It came out. And even since its release, the Hornets had not won 8 games in a row. The only team, I believe, certainly in the NBA. What was funny is, I can't take credit for the graphic. I just reposted it and said, the PS2 streak is over, which it mattered to me because of that tone that you just gave me, where you just had to emphasize 2 a million times. You're right. Yeah. I'm glad we're not the only team in like 3 leagues that doesn't have an 8-game winning streak anymore. Now we've had one since the PS5.
Hey, here we
Hornets
go.
are back.
Here we
go.
It leaves the Hornets, though, in an interesting... Joe loves to say, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And, well, look at that. Look who the Hornets could be matched up with in the first round if they get through the play-in, which would be the Detroit Pistons. Wouldn't that be interesting if we got to see a series between those two teams? But I bring this up because... humble brag. I got the Hornets just last week at plus 6,000 to win the East. They're down to plus 3,500.
Yeah,
win the East.
Look at you.
But you look at the East and you're like, well, who are you really scared of in the East? Who are you really scared of in the East? I mean, Detroit, obviously in first place, right?
Yeah.
Knicks kind of knocking on the door last year, seemed to be the healthiest, but I don't know. They're always vulnerable. The Celtics, maybe they get Tatum back. Maybe there's some sort of miracle Achilles there. The other Flotsam and Jetsam, though, like, hey man, why not? Like seriously, how are they not looking around going, why not at this point?
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I like the saying, history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, but I don't know what rhymes with having not been to the Eastern Conference Finals ever. So I'm hoping something.
History is working against us.
Hey, you know what? You make your own new history.
Okay,
that's time. Okay,
let's do that part. Let's just make new history. If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think they haven't been there since the Atari. that would be something that this city would just absolutely lose their mind over. Taking the Hornets to win the East. It's a nice flyer. They're really talented. What makes them so talented, and I talked about this with Joe last week, is the fact that starting lineup, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knippel, Miles Bridges, Moussa Diabate, they're just destroying the league with the sample size that is large enough for us to understand that this is very real. When those five are on the court, they have the best net rating, plus minus, whatever. It's actually pretty ridiculous. And so if they lean on that starting five and then you lean on them more in a playoff setting, then I think that's probably the way that this gets done with just improved bench play. Kobe White is back in North Carolina. Great to see him in a Hornets uniform. He won't be ready to play until after the All-Star break. But the Hornets, they're for real in terms of, like, you can't just push them around anymore, quite literally, as you saw when the Pistons tried to do it. They're going to fight back, no doubt about it. And they're just really good at basketball right now. So you're right. Pistons, very good, legitimate NBA title contender. More so if you believe that the West is going to win the NBA championship. I'm inclined to believe that as well.
Yeah.
But you're right, Joe. Like, this isn't there's a dominant number one seed. The East is so deep that you have to really worry about these three contenders at the top. The way that it's open is that you don't necessarily have a ton of fear with any of those teams at the top. So if the Hornets get in somehow, some way, even if they need to use the play-in tournament to get to the playoffs, can they get to a 7 seed where they're facing the 2? If they face the Pistons, then they want blood. Like, yeah, I'm with you. I don't mind the flyer. Clearly, it's not something that I'm going to bet on in terms of, like, this is going to happen. It's not a prediction, but it's a nice flyer to take.
I don't know this for sure, but I think you could probably trace the Hornets' luck here this season to our friend Dave Tellep, who I believe was overruled in the Spurs war room.
Can you explain to those who do not know who Dave Tellep is?
Dave Tellep got his start at the Durham Herald-Sun, writing about high schools, then got into recruiting, first at scout.com, and then ended up at ESPN, and then got a job with the Spurs, does their, I don't know his official title right now, but he's involved in their college. He's in their draft. I think he's the director of scouting at this point. He really, really, really liked Con Knippel.
Oh,
I do know that. I do know that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with Dylan Harper, but, like, can you imagine Wemby with Knippel to kick to? Like,
and I love Dylan Harper down there, but Con Knippel is just balling out. Like, that's the thing, dude. That dude is cold as hell, man. Like, in this Pistons game, after all of that, Charles Lee gets ejected, which is like the 4th biggest point in this game. Sion James hits a half-court shot. This game was full of comedy. So in this game, it's crazy.
Sion James in the NBA.
Sion James. Like, that's a name I haven't heard since last year. But
since the PS2 came out. With Con Knippel, after the brawl, after Charles Lee gets ejected, all Con does is take beatings, absorb contact, and hit crucial shot after crucial shot, where they don't have a point guard because LaMelo is in foul trouble for a while, so he has to sit out the first 5 minutes of a tight ball game. So now you don't have anybody that can set the table nearly as well for Con and others, and yet Con still is just hitting tough shot after tough shot to keep them within 4 points against the Eastern Conference favorites. And you also don't have 60% of your starting lineup in there. He has been unbelievable this year. I mean, seriously, nobody expected this type of production from him in year one.
I was going to say, who was it for NC State that you would say when they got sweaty? Was it Markell Johnson? Or was it Cat?
Well, Markell was definitely there, but it was also CJ Leslie. When he wasn't sweating, it was the planet Zutan. And then once he started sweating, like,
you're locked in.
Okay.
There's a variation to that with Con Knippel. In that, are the cheeks rosy red flushed tonight? Yes. Okay, well, then he's probably balling out because he's dealt with some physicality and he's out there being tough.
And he showed some emotion for the first time. Like, I've called him a basketball robot. He's emotionally unavailable on the court, and you love it. The thing about him is
Walker's he's emotionally unavailable. I can fix him.
Yeah, I know. Just give me more time. I promise. I can take him home. He'll be fine at Thanksgiving. But the thing about Con is he was emotional in this game in a way I haven't seen before. And I'm not even exaggerating. I have not seen that emotion from him in any of the previous 50 games. But he's pounding his chest. He's screaming. I'm over there before I do some TV hits for FanDuel. Like I'm over there next to the Hornets bench.
Mhm.
And he comes over after he gets scored on by Tobias Harris. And it was a hardcore post up between the two. They're battling, man. It's a football game down there. They're in the trenches and they're battling. Tobias just hits a grown man professional shot. Khan comes over and smacks the hell out of the seat. You don't see that from Khan. And he wanted it. And he played extremely well, especially in the fourth.
All right.
I don't think you're supposed to be able to shoot 42% in the NBA at 19 or 20.
Joe, he's flirting with 50, 40, 90. Okay. There are 9 players ever that have ever done that, not in their rookie year, period.
Yeah.
And he's flirting with it. There's a real shot that he could do it, which then opens up. Man, if he does that, is this just like Miggy winning the Triple Crown and we tried to give it to Mike Trout for a little bit, that MVP award, but like you can't take it away from the dude that won the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
You can't take it away from the dude that gets 50, 40, 90. That's incredible on 20 points per game. So the volume is up. You can't do any kind of sample size theater.
Right.
It's a hell of a battle between Cooper and Khan.
Look, man, all I've asked, because people will hit us up for the podcast, whether it's email or comments in the YouTube or social media responses. And it's like the Hornets. And all I've asked is, hey, man, Hornets, just be interesting. That's all I've asked. Just be interesting. And the Hornets.
Give me something to talk about.
Hornets, to their credit, have been interesting since Summer League. And it has continued. I don't know if Summer League set the tone. I don't know if there's a carryover of momentum. But they won that Summer League championship, and they've been interesting since. Maybe it's just Con Knipples arrived. Like I don't know what it is, but they've been interesting. That's all you gotta do, man. In the market.
That's all you need. And you mentioned just be interesting. It's a low bar. That phrase I have uttered a million separate times on Locked On Hornets, so much so that we created the low bar where we serve drinks at the low bar for the sickos to stop on by and talk about their pain with the bartender.
The people who, it's like you and Julian, man. You and Julian with Locked On Panthers. It's like to do the Hornets talk every day, you got to be a true freaking sicko.
Wired differently.
Yeah. Well, and look, Julian, since he's been doing Locked On Panthers, they have not had a ton of success. He's also a big Hornets fan as well. And so he's experienced it in the trenches as a fan. But you know what I thought about the other day, just to this point, even more so, what I think I didn't realize that I had developed Stockholm syndrome over is me trying to convince people that Nick Smith Jr. is a thing. There's a second round pick.
Dude.
Like I don't have to do that anymore.
You are describing a 10-year run of Carolina Hurricanes hockey where people would be like, no, you don't understand.
No, you
guys, just watch
puck. Just watch this guy. He's going to come up from Chicago. Let me tell you something. It's like, no, guys, that's not it.
Like, but in the preseason, he was 4 of 8. Like that's 50. That's something. I did that for 10 years. And now I'm just like, oh my God, we need more roster spots for all these great players that we have. We're winning basketball games.
Oh goodness. What, you guys have jumped into the top 10 for YouTube on Locked On?
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
People are paying attention.
Let's go.
And yes, look, this has been the thing, right? It also, continuing your point, if the Hornets give you something to cheer for and give you something to show up for, then the fans will show up. A couple of years ago, Charlotte was 4 games above 500 with a team that really wasn't all that fun. It was LaMelo that was just the lightning rod, but they weren't all that fun. And the Spectrum Center was rocking. And then that game against Detroit, that was a monster game, man. And people filled up the seats on a Monday night at the Spectrum Center. And the brawl got everybody going, no doubt about it. But it got them going in the right way. And I tweeted it out. I've never seen the Spectrum Center like that. Like, yeah, we can make fun of the low bar. I've had a few drinks at the low bar for sure. But I have never seen it. They've been to a playoff series. They had a 7-game series against Miami. They played a couple games back in 2015-16 at the Spectrum Center. And even still, this team carries a different feeling with it. It was a playoff-like atmosphere. And nobody was sitting down the final 4 minutes of that game. At an NBA game, Monday night, nobody's sitting down. Yeah. It is wildly different than what we're used to and what we've seen there before.
Do you need a jingle for the low bar? Do I need to hit up Brian over at Nice Price to give you?
Oh, does he love jingles the way that we do?
We're fucking on the Will Wade band.
I'm not saying. Look,
I love jingles like you. Of course I do. Please put all the jingles.
The Will Wade sheets were in the wash on Monday night, but something tells me with Carolina losing last night, the way they did to Miami, the Will Wade sheets got some work last night with NC State fans. So I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I got to hit up Brian and do something to the effect of friends in low places, but with something about the low bar.
Yeah. If you want to, I will gladly accept that. I very much appreciate it. Especially Doug is into that sort of thing as well. These are look, you have to make it interesting. If the Hornets won't, then we've had to for the last 8 years. So
Walker, you and I are on the same page. We're going to reinvent podcasts by taking phone calls and bringing back jingles.
Nobody's done this.
Nobody's ever thought about a whiner line ever.
Nobody's ever done it before, and I'm just glad that we're at the
whiner line. Has anybody ever thought to call it the whiner line?
I don't think so. No, that hasn't happened. I keep going back to the PS2. My God, it's been 26 years. that was like back in the day since the at WFNZ. I mean,
yes, that's old
references, man. When you're talking about Hornets winning streaks, you have to go back to even before the turn of the millennium.
I'm so old that I remember Mark Packer being antagonistic with the Hornets, like openly calling them out for sucking and upsetting the organization. But you know what? When you're not good, you deserve to be called out. But hey, they're interesting again, which is always fun. Walker, we appreciate it, man. Locked On Hornets is the podcast, of course, at WFNZ. We will talk. I'm sure we will talk to you later now that the freaking Hornets are interesting.
All right. See you guys next week.
We gotta send Walker like a purple Roback hoodie to rock with his Hornet stuff.
Okay.
Something we can definitely do. I mean, Julian can't get all the Roback we send.
It's fair.
We should probably do something with Walker as well. In the meantime, head on over to roback.com. Speaking of Valentine's Day, they just came out with a new crop of tempo sets for the ladies.
Okay.
At roback.com. So if you're looking for something for Valentine's Day, may I suggest the Roback sweatpants and hoodie combo, the tempo set. Kelly's got a set. She loves that set. So highly recommend. Go to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Again, that's OG20 to save 20% off your order. At this point, you're not going to get it in time for Valentine's Day. Not the point. Put it in a card and say, hey, babe, I got a tempo set on the way. Thanks to the OG. That'll really set the mood. Thanks to the OG. So head on over to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Speaking of saving money, our guy, Matt Davis, is going to save you money on home and auto. That's easy. Seriously, if you have not thought about your home and auto insurance in a hot minute, you're probably overspending at this point, and Matt can save you money that way on a monthly basis. But it goes beyond that with Matt Davis and State Farm in Garner. We're talking financial planning as well. You might have some goals. Maybe you're looking at an early retirement. Maybe you're looking to save money to buy a mountain house or a beach house or any number of things that you might need. College, right? Matt Davis can help you out with that financial planning and meet those goals. So hit him up, 919-779-8277, or visit insuregarner.com. And while Matt's going to help you with some future financial planning, Chris Brassfield at Brassfield Accounting can help you with your stuff right now as a fractional CFO. You might be a small business owner like me and Gilio. Perhaps you deal with government grants. That can get tricky. You can be in over your head on those types of things. Hell, me and Gilio are in and over our head sometimes with just simple tax documents. This is where Brassfield Accounting can step in and be your fractional CFO. And he will do your taxes now. So while he's based in Homer, Alaska, you can also visit their location at RTP. And OG listeners, if you hit them up, brassfieldaccounting.com, they'll do your personal taxes. So visit brassfieldaccounting.com. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You can check them out online at bugsbite.com. It's warming up. It's going to start getting green. The bugs are going to start coming out. The birds are already chirping, so you know the bugs aren't too far behind. So get a hold of it right now with our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Bugsbite.com is the website you can bundle and save. And speaking of saving, 10 or more window treatments with our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. They brought you the After Dark on Saturday night. We got another After Dark happening on Tuesday after the NC State Carolina game. So you need to get this now. 10 or more window treatments, 10% off when you tell them we sent you. Go to bloominblinds.com, 919-980-9815.
Can we have a meeting?
Yes, we're having a meeting.
Do you want to do a program on Tuesday, or can the After Dark just serve as our program?
Yeah, the After Dark can serve as the program.
Perfect.
Why?
Well, I was going to play some golf, but it gets a little bit hairy if I'm trying to finish before
I see.
all those other things.
I see. Yeah, no, I mean, we can just do a show on Tuesday because that's all anybody's going to want to talk about.
After.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But that also counts for Wednesday.
Perfect.
So you just want to do one show?
A super show.
A super show?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It is really, what else is going to be going on, right? Unless there's like a trade. Actually, no, we can't have a trade because the Olympics are happening. So there's no Canes trade.
We do have some news here that's disturbing but maybe now that all of the wounds are healed, it's okay that Darrell Bevel can be gainfully employed by the Carolina Panthers. He's been hired as an offensive specialist.
Oh.
Darrell Bevel, famously the offensive coordinator and the person responsible for the single worst call in the history of organized football when the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl
it's been long
against the Patriots decided to throw the ball instead of running it.
He can come out of hiding now.
Well, he's had plenty of jobs since.
I know.
Obviously, there's a background there with Canales was in Seattle at one point, right?
At one point, yeah, but not then.
Maybe they overlapped at some point.
Maybe they did. I have to go back. I didn't see that news, so I have to go back.
JC just sent it to us.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So contact Bloomin' Blinds, 919-980-9815.
Giglio's social crap.
Actually, it turns out that it's my social media crap today. The algorithm feeds you what the algorithm is going to feed you, is what I always like to say. And I have noticed that my algorithm loves to feed me curling content. Okay. Or variations on curling content. I know Reed sent us this, and this is some different form of curling that happens, I think in Wisconsin. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video that explains this interesting take on curling.
I think you've seen every sport. Ice stock sport comes to mind. Yes, you can even bet on it. Often called Bavarian.
Oh, well, you're sold. You can bet on it? You're sold.
Bavarian curling, this German winter sport, has players sliding special stocks across ice to hit a target or cover maximum distance. Simple, yet surprisingly competitive. Just when you think you've seen every sport, ice stock sport comes to mind. Yes, you can even bet on it.
So those things look like toilet plungers attached to
a curling
stone,
and it looks like
that you chuck.
You will immediately need rotator cuff surgery after throwing one.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Now, I feel like that is too fancy. Those things look like they're probably too expensive. So I present to you in Tennessee the annual Lodge Cast Iron Skillet Curling Competition.
The skillet is closest they can to the bacon. Curling irons, curling, ironing, throwing skillets. Oh, yeah. Breathe this other shot. Oh, that was shots like that.
So do you think we can get one of the polar ice houses to allow us to throw cast iron skillets across the ice? I don't think they'd let us do it at the Durham Curling Club.
No.
That's definitely not going to happen.
No. It's sacred ground.
It's very sacred ground. But I'm guessing like Polar Ice House at Cary, like they would let us, right? Right?
Seems very rudimentary. Only if we can get Wade Minter there. That's what the announcer kind of sounded like. Wade Minter.
A little bit. Wade would be down for a cast iron skillet one. I got the are you a cast iron guy?
I have two of them, but only in certain situations.
I see. I have a fajita pan, and I also have one of like the steak. It's got like the raised stuff, and
that's the only reason I use it. Steak.
I've never washed it. Well, I've
not supposed to.
I've rinsed it.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
Yeah,
it's good seasoning. Good seasoning. And of course, speaking of the curling content, I felt like you would be behind this. This clip says, "Me behind the house after drinking 17 beers," and it's this guy on the sheet, and he's got this water sprayer, and he's backtracking across the sheet ahead of the next curling match. So I got
like a Zamboni.
I got fed that. I thought that was pretty funny. Of course, the next reel that I get related to curling is actually explaining these odd jobs. These are the best bizarre jobs at the 2026 Winter Olympics.
Bizarre jobs at the Winter Olympics so far. Starting with the guy who's scooting down the ice, spraying water on the curling rinks. He's actually the chief ice technician, and he's spraying the ice so that the curling stones are on a smooth surface and don't get stuck. There's also another spray they use that is paint. It's a spray-based paint to paint the ice white. Sticking with curling, there's these guys who bring out this ridiculous-looking giant measurement stick that gets the exact price measurement between the curling stones. Big fan of this army of dudes who are blow drying the
So it's a bunch of dudes with steel backpack leaf blowers. I can't afford that one. I'm more of a Husqvarna guy because that's what I can afford. But they're all out there with steel ones, and they all have they're all lined up along the ski jumping ramp to make sure that it doesn't have any sort of like particles, extra snow, any of that stuff.
Slope before the downhill skier comes down. Once the skier comes down, they will once again blow dry the slope. I imagine this is like a dream job for a bunch of dads. Very satisfying to watch these guys go down these slopes and paint the lines on the courses. As someone who is terrible at skiing, this seems incredibly hard to do. Look at them again here on the half pipe, just swaying back and forth, painting these beautiful, perfect lines.
That's therapeutic.
It's kind of nice.
Now, I will say the guy with the leaf blowers, I would sign up for that. I would sign up for that. And of course, finally, in a quick social
20 of them, though.
Finally, in a quick social media dump to illustrate to you what my algorithm looks like right now. Lo and behold, there's Dane Huffman, a former colleague of ours, now working at the Triangle Business Journal, and he goes over some hockey facilities being sold. I believe this is in relation to Extreme Ice Center out in Charlotte, and how private equity is now getting into the business of these hockey rinks. Here is Dane.
Youth hockey is just huge in the Triangle, and that's what drove the high price for a facility in Wake Forest. Now, the factory just sold for $25 million to a local group called Bluestone Real Estate Investments. What appealed to them is multiple things. One is the factory has a lot of stuff like Ice Match, which is really a lot of fun. You go and bust stuff up, that sort of thing. But also the factory is right there in downtown Wake Forest. And Wake Forest is a town of 60,000 people, but it's just exploding. More people moving in, more amenities, that sort of thing. And of course, Wake Forest is the former home of Wake Forest College, which eventually moved to Winston-Salem. But that ice rink is a particular appeal. The Polar Ice Wake Forest is right there in the factory. Very appealing, very interesting purchase. And you see the value of these ice rinks around the Triangle really high. Super interesting buy in Wake Forest.
So there's a lot of, because again, the real estate, to Dane's point, the real estate that the factory sits on is prime real estate right now. And it's going to go one of two ways. Either you recognize and monetize that sheets of ice at the Triangle are it's one of the most precious commodities in the Triangle, really in North Carolina. It's a reason why I mentioned Charlotte and Extreme Ice Center. There was a consolidation of some hockey organizations that have now come together, and people are kind of like, they're all kind of rolling their eyes at Polar's getting more control over these rinks and how these things end up getting scheduled. People like competition, and I'm with that as well. So I found that kind of interesting as well. But hey, man,
24 mil?
Dude, there's a lot of money. There is a lot of money with not just the hockey, but just youth sports in general.
Sure.
The price of the brick continues to go up. The expectation on parents continues to go up. And then why do you do it, Joe? You do it because
the kids,
Joe.
Yeah, not you.
Not well, right.
You're not going to Buffalo for you.
No, I'm not. I'm not there to go crush beers and pound wings. Little beef on whack.
Not you.
Not me. Absolutely not. Although, speaking of youth hockey, shout out to the Junior Canes. I got a message from Dennis via our Instagram, wondering if we could shout out or even really do a full segment on the 12U AAA Junior Canes that are on their way to Quebec to play in the Pee Wee International Tournament.
Whoa.
Go get them, Junior Canes. A little Junior Canes solidarity there for you. Good luck, guys. All right, let's go back to the OG sports phone.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, this is from a 910.
Hey, OG. I was just wanting to say, how the fuck does Hubert Davis do this every fucking time? We barely beat Duke, and we can't fucking beat Miami? I mean, this is fucking bullshit. Get his ass out of there. See you, OG.
So that kind of gave you the general tenor of
barely
beat Duke. Never mind. It was in a wonderful moment. We barely beat Duke. As I said earlier, and this actually goes back to Gville Tar Heels call, and I'm glad that apparently when I start to speak positively about something, fans now start going, "Damn it, Ovius." Remember, during the football season, we were at Longleaf.
Why wouldn't they be?
Why wouldn't they be undefeated going into whichever game it was? The Notre Dame game. Why wouldn't they be going to Notre Dame undefeated at this point? How'd that work out? What have I spent doing Monday and Tuesday? Hey, you know what? This is what you guys wanted out of Hubert Davis, beating the Blue Blood, that beat Duke.
Kansas, Kentucky.
They got this star freshman. Hey, you got even year Hubert. Like, this is what you want, right? And then they go and lose to Miami on Tuesday. Hey, let's go to a 704.
As my mother likes to say, it's in the sauce. He has no control of his team. And you know who we're talking about. They simply don't know how to build a game to win. Period. This is not a team that has the ability to sustain success that leads to postseason success. This team runs constantly an NBA-style ISO offense, which does not work in the college game. Even in wins, if you pay attention, they never feel like they're quote-unquote in control of the game. They're always battling. And it's a possession-by-possession game throughout the entire game. It's frustrating to see 3 to 4 players being stagnant on every possession. And honestly, they may have some tall guys on this team, but they don't have bigs. They're constantly being out-rebounded. They don't know how to offensive rebound. They're being pushed around like a bunch of rag dolls. Anytime this team plays someone at their level with strong big men, chalk the L. This team isn't good. And what a stark contrast from how other programs at the top of their game are running their team. I just say all this to say I think it's very obvious that it's not a moment of if, but when Hubert Davis is let go from UNC. It's a damn shame you wasted this year with a top 10 all-time freshman talent at UNC. This team won't even make it past the round of 32.
So that's, unfortunately, we've talked about this with we've talked about this with coaches. We talked about it with Kevin Keats. We've talked about it with specifically Dave Doran, and it becomes like this, what I've referred to as the Herb Sendek zone, right? Where all that's really happening is the wins and the losses are only putting people into their corners where they're going to argue, right? So the people who think that Hubert should get more of an opportunity, well, they're going to point to 24. They're going to point to 22. They're going to point to what happened on Saturday night. And they're going to get calls like that saying, yeah, that's great. However, we kind of knew this was going to happen. Let's go to a 336.
All right. So I'm trying to maintain a level head with this loss to Miami for Carolina. Right. I do think it was pretty predictable. Clear hangover from the Duke game. You don't want to see it, but I'm not surprised to see it. But the other thought I have is if you were going to lose a game, because we were going to lose a game, we weren't going to finish the season, we weren't going to run the table the remainder of the ACC regular season, right? So if we're going to lose a game, this was the one to do it. I'd rather do it now than against State or Louisville or Clemson or Duke again. I'd rather get that out of the way. All right? I feel the same way about State and Louisville on Monday night, by the way. You were not going to run the table. Get your loss out of the way. Recover. You don't want to lose any, but you know you're going to lose one. So I'm not the most upset about it. It was a little expected. I don't want to call it a scheduled loss, but it's as close to a scheduled loss as we were going to get right now. Thanks, guys.
No, I mean, that's probably the most level-headed way of going about it. Which games would you rather lose? Makes total sense to me. Just go to a 9-8-4. You don't want to lose that state game. I know that. Let's go to a 9-8-4.
Hey, it's Alex in Willow Springs. Hey, just calling to vent about that UNC Miami basketball game last night. I'm sure the Cubers are standing in line to call to hate on him and fire him, but I just think last night's game is not on him. To go back to what Cindy Lowe says, your best players got to be your best players. Carolina's best players did not show up last night. Seth Trimble, I think, had, less than 5 points, I want to say. Caleb looked off, and then Bessar was a no-show to me. So if your best players are your best players, it's tough to win a game. I felt like Carolina could have been blown out last night, where their three-point shooting kind of saved them in the first half. And then so, like I said, to me, it's not on Cooper. Their best players were their best players, and they didn't rebound. They turned the ball over way too much, and they just looked sloppy. Like, they were taking shots, weird shots in the paint that usually go in. They just weren't going in. So I think Carolina's lucky to not get blown out last night. I don't think that game's on Cooper. They just looked really off. That's all I got.
Yeah, looking at Carolina's backcourt, what was it? Seth Trimble, 0-5 in the game. 0-2 from within inside the arc. 0-3 from beyond the arc. Derek Dixon, 1 of 9. Luka Bogovac, 2 of 3 from 3, but overall 2 of 5 from the field. Just Kyan Evans, what was he? 3 of 4 in this game. So
if you'd like for me to end the program on a winning note, I can do this for Carolina fans.
Okay.
Well, here's one way you're definitively not like NC State, particularly this season.
Oh,
NC State has found a way to win when Darian Williams can't score.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time we've seen Caleb Wilson really struggle and not be the driving force
guy, right,
in the game. And they could not win the basketball game without him being a driving force.
Yeah.
So maybe the sunshine is coming up on your side after all, that you're not like NC State.
One more call from a 704.
Hey guys, Daniel from Arlington, longtime listener, first time caller. Love what you guys do. I just watched my Tar Heels have a hangover game, the annual one, and I just want to say, I don't understand why we're storming the court. If you're Miami, I guess nowadays we're just storming the court for anything, and I don't even want to hear anything about the UNC comparisons because they're not the same at all. So, yeah, I just know there will be some backlash for UNC fans who are saying, "Oh, we're just storming the court for anything," but we're not hypocrites in that sense. So, all in all, love what you guys do. Thanks.
I wanted to end on this call. Because the thing that I find most interesting this week is the gatekeeping that continues to pop up over court storming. Let's strip the safety discussion out of the way. Okay. Let's just strip that away. And there's these weird unspoken rules that allow you to rush the court or not rush the court. And again, I always get back to context. It's not like Carolina rushes the court after every win over Duke. The context on Saturday made a lot of sense for people to rush the court. That was their first lead of the game with 0.4 seconds. Okay. It was a pretty dramatic comeback, and Seth Trimble hit the 3, so that makes sense. And then with Miami, this is their biggest win of the year. It's over a ranked team. So typically that's what ends up happening. Teams that are unranked that beat ranked teams typically end up rushing the court. And if you're Miami, this is your moment to do it over a named team. If Miami rushed the court over, I don't know, beating Clemson, I would be like, what's the big freaking deal? If anything, it's the old Jeff Bizdelek. You show respect by showing no respect. And it actually shows you the respect level that people still have for Carolina, that regardless of what you think about Hubert Davis and the standard, and are they up there with the Blue Bloods and all this other kind of stuff, people outside the triangle, people outside Chapel Hill still look at Carolina and go, oh, hell yeah, man, we beat the Tar Heels. So I was expecting to see a court storm last night. So, but the court storm discourse continues to be fascinating to me. And I lied. One more call. Let's get a Duke fan in here. 828.
Joe's Duke fan Jake calling back as Punchgate discourse continues after the Duke UNC game. Orange and Chatham County District Attorney Jeff Neiman, has now weighed in, calling on UNC fans or anyone at the game to submit video evidence of a Duke staff member getting punched. First of all, this is the greatest rivalry in sports, man. No one, at least as I know of, gets his brain rotted and crazy enough to shitpost and subtweet John Shire on social media. And second, I was wondering, is this what, I'm a baby lawyer, right? As Joe, I think Ovius, I told you, did the people of Orange and Chatham County elect this guy to investigate Duke-related crimes? And as some people are saying in the comments and replies, hey, are you going to prosecute John Shire if you don't find evidence that this punch happened? Is this what they elected him for? And I'm like, actually, yeah. Yeah, I think in part this is giving the people what they want. So just trying to find some humor in this. Greatest rivalry in sports. It's back. It's spicy as hell again. And we're having fun. Thanks again.
It is spicy. We are having fun again. I said this after Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski retired. We saw it in 22, and then we saw it with Shire and Hubert. I think it really came to a head in 24 when they swept Duke, and the drinks being tossed, and Armando Bacot and the crew going up to the Cameron Crazies and taunting them and things like that. It's been a while. It's been professional. It's been corporatized. Both Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski understood that the Duke-Carolina game had elevated to a place that represented the game of college basketball more than anything else, which I agreed with, right? You got these two Hall of Famers. They lift each other up. It is what it is. But now that they're out of the picture, and both John Shire and Hubert Davis are trying to carve out their own aspect of this, we've gone back to a spicy level, which I think is good. By the way, we need stuff like this. Although the Photoshop that I saw of a mausoleum with the Duke players or the Duke staffers that were lost in Chapel Hill on Saturday, well, that was a good Photoshop that I saw. I don't have time to pull it up. It's never going to top the historical marker Photoshop of 2012 when Roy Williams bounced, and it was like an ode to Blue Steel that was left behind on the battlefield. When Roy said, I'm getting my guys off the court, Blue Steel, you stay here and you deal with the court storm.
One for the team.
Take one for the team. And it was a historical marker, which to this day cracks me the hell up. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Appreciate everybody who hit up the OG Sports Phone. We will see you for an OG Live brought to you by the Butcher's Market tomorrow. Of course, we always thank our friends at Color Graphic. I feel like some of this stuff is going to be in a brief history of Triangle Good in 25 years if we're still doing this, okay? Like what happened this week is absolutely going to go into a brief history of Triangle Good. All right? And did I show you the graphic? I sent you the graphic, right? About and from New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
Did I send you that?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this up real quick because it's worth saying. This is from I believe a publication called Them, and it was highlighting some Olympians, and the headline graphic is Alt Gay and from New Jersey. The babes of glory are TikTok fan cam fuel. And I feel like this is perfect for you, Joe. From New Jersey. Just like right in the same sentence. Alt gay and from New Jersey. All the same things. And you're right. You always talk about Italian-American discrimination.
Last one.
So there we go. Anyway, hit them up. Sales@colorgraphic.com. Again, that's sales@colorgraphic.com. We'll see you Thursday for an OG Live.